Hey, it's Robert Lee Moulton here, and I have a quick question for you. Have you ever considered building your own guitar pedal board, or maybe didn't quite know how to go about doing it to get the best results? Well, if that's the case, then you're definitely at the right place at the right time, because today we're going to learn how to make a simple yet very effective guitar pedal board fast and easy. And I do want to stress simple and very effective. So if you're on board with this and you're ready to go, let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, what actually makes a great pedal board? Well, you definitely want easy access to all the pedals. And your pedals should be quickly interchangeable, meaning if you want to swap out pedal number 2 with a backup pedal, you should be able to do that very quickly. You should be completely AC powered. This is not a must, but I do recommend being AC powered. You must be noiseless without a 60 cycle hum. Sometimes when you're building a pedal board, a 60 cycle hum finds its way in, and that's not a good thing. So we definitely want to avoid that. All of your cables should be matched and congruent, and you definitely should have this self-contained for easy setup and teardown. That's the whole point of the pedal board, and it must be able to withstand years of stage use and abuse, because you know it's going to happen. Okay, typically you're going to want to start with a solid piece of 1x9. Now in this example, I've actually custom cut 2 thinner boards, and I glued those together and actually screwed them together as well, and the width is 2 foot. I'm going to be using 5 pedals on this particular board. Okay, so for what I'm doing with this project, 2 foot wide is going to work just fine. You may need to go a little less, a little more, depending on how many pedals you're going to have on your board. Okay, next you're going to want to attach another piece of board, which would be at a 1/2 inch thick by 1 inch wide across the bottom portion of the top side of the board. Again, this is going to be 2 foot in length, and you can attach this by either gluing it or you could actually screw it in as well. Either is fine. Okay, after doing that, you can actually take it outside now and give it a coat of paint. I typically spray paint mine black. You can spray yours any color you would like, but black seems to work well for this layout that I'm going to show you. And make sure that you let your coats dry in between, and just, several thin coats will be fine with this. Okay, and here's a quick side view of the board after it's been painted. And here's a quick bottom view of the board after it's been painted. And here's a front view of the board after it's been painted. And we're back at the top view of the board after everything's been painted and dried. Okay, next you'll want to tape off the entire center of the board, leaving a 3/4 inch border around the full perimeter. Then spray paint it white, exactly as you see in the diagram here. Okay, now after the white coats have dried, you can actually use a different color right now. And I still recommend that you paint white first, because the color that you spray on top of the white will actually stand out much better. So definitely use white first. If you go with the second color like I'm doing right here with yellow, you would do that after the white. And as you can see, I'm just going around the border right on top of it. Alright, now after your yellow paint has dried, you can actually peel back the center tape, but you want to be very careful when you're doing this because of the inside edge of the paint. Typically it'll come off just fine, but just be careful because it can start to pull a little bit if your paint isn't exactly dry yet, or if the tape wasn't real tight down to the wood. Alright, so bring your fresh pedal board inside and let's get ready for assembly. Okay, now you'll start cutting 3/4 inch squares of the fuzzy side of Velcro, and you're going to be placing one on each corner of your pedals. Now you definitely want to use industrial strength Velcro for this, and as you can see, it doesn't take a whole lot of Velcro, but you want to make sure that before you place it on your pedals that you've cleaned the area very well so that the Velcro sticks nice and tight to the corners of your pedals. Okay, now it's time to place the opposite side of the Velcro, the coarse pieces, down onto the pedal board itself. Now, the easiest way to do this is to actually cut those to the exact size as the squares that you have on your pedal. And when you place them down on the pedal board, go ahead and just barely stick them to the bottom of the pedal so that when you set the pedal on the board, those bottom pieces will stick in the exact location of the board itself. Okay, so as you can see on the area here, they've actually been stuck in the exact places that the pedals are going to go, and it makes a perfect location for you. Okay, so after you've done this, go ahead and place your first pedal in line, and go ahead and place your second pedal in line. And we're just going to continue on with your third pedal and place your fourth pedal in line. And now place your fifth and final pedal in line. Okay, now is the time you're going to want to place the Velcro for your power adapter. Now this may vary depending on what you're actually using for a power adapter. I am using a hotspot for this example. So as you can see where I've located these, that's exactly where the power source is going to be. And we'll look at that in the next slide. Now this is the actual power adapter itself, and as you can see, the fuzzy side of the Velcro actually goes to that. And then you can place the power adapter down on the board, and as you see where I strategically place this, it's just right above the pedal there, but yet there's enough room for the entire adapter to still be on the board. The tangs aren't hanging over the side, it's still placed onto the board, and you'll see later why that was important. Okay, now you're going to want to daisy chain your wire harness throughout the pedals. You're going to want to try to create the cleanest path possible. So go ahead and plug everything in and just find a nice flow for the cables to kind of lay naturally, and just let them loosely hang there, and eventually we'll come back and give those a permanent zip. Now you're going to have excess wire, so you can actually route the excess wire on the top underneath, and that's one reason why we do have that little board in front, so that we can have a little void underneath the pedal board for the wiring cables to go. Okay, when everything's wired, it should look similar to this with all the AC cables. And underneath access is upper left and upper right. As you can see, there's wires here that are going underneath, and there's wires right here that are going underneath. And that's just the excess, and you'll see that it's not a permanent situation. If you ever needed to get those wires back out, we can certainly get to them. Okay, at this segment, I just want to throw out a word of caution. You can easily use an extension cord to plug directly into your power adapter. But in this example, what I do with these pedal boards is I'll get a heavy-duty cable, and I will actually hardwire it to the tangs of the adapter. And as you can see when we move on to the next slides, it's also critical that you really insulate and tape this up well. But there is a reason that I do this, and it is for convenience, and I'll show you as we go. Okay, so as you can see, right here is where everything's all taped up. Now be sure to use a good amount of electrical tape around the solder connections and onto the cable. As you can see, it goes onto the cable quite a bit of the way down. And I recommend no less than 5 to 7 complete layers. You want to secure off to the side here as it runs its way down the board itself with a couple wire staples. The thing is, when you do this, it just keeps the pedal board tidier. You don't have to worry about additional extension cord to haul around with it. But to me, it just makes things easier. It's tidier. It's all one piece, and it's handier. Okay, and here's the opposite end of the cable. And as I mentioned, you're going to put a plug on this, but just be sure to get your hot and cold wires exactly in sync as they follow down through the cable onto the plug. Okay, now is the time to tidy up all the cables into a permanent position and then zip strap them down. Now, as I said before, you kind of let these cables fall in their natural position, and then you'll find little areas where you can bunch them together and put some zip straps on, and this will be kind of a permanent location for them. And again, it's a natural loose fit. If you ever needed to swap a pedal out, you'll see that everything will stay right in place, and it makes for a much better, cleaner looking pedal board. And as I mentioned earlier, underneath we have the opposite side, and so this would be the top upper left hand side, the bottom, and this would be the top upper right hand side, the bottom. And as you can see, again, it's just a couple additional plugs we had. For some reason, let's say our pedal board was a 7 pedal board, then I would have used this excess cable, and I wouldn't have had to have gone underneath like this. And you'll never see this, but again, you know, it's there if you ever expand your board, or if you just need more cable for something off to the side. Okay, now is the time to connect all of your pedals together with matching patch cables. And again, it is very important that you use matching cables to keep your signal flow consistent all the way through. Quick tip is definitely angled plugs work best, and the main reason is that they don't take as much room. You can get your pedals tighter together, and always remember that when you plug these in, you can just lift up the corner of the pedal just a little bit, snap your plug in, and then do the same thing for the opposite side, and that way you can get your pedals side by side much closer. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, I like to keep my AC cable attached permanently to the pedal board, and I simply use a Velcro wrap, and this keeps your AC cable tidy and always ready for transport. It works out great. Okay, so here you have it, a finished complete pedal board. It is very simple, it's very effective, and actually works great. It's going to save you a lot of time if you're doing a lot of gigs or just even a lot of rehearsal time. And I'd also like to throw this out there because the best way that I have found to haul the pedal board around is to find an old guitar case, you know, a nice rectangular guitar case that you have sitting around, or maybe even buy one for this. But what I would do is just tear the inside out just enough that your pedal board will fit inside that guitar case perfectly. And this gives you just enough extra room for your cables, for the additional cable that you have with the pedal board here, but all your stage cables and any little extra things that you want to throw in, and you just carry that around like a guitar case. It fits in there perfectly. It works perfect, and I find it's the best protection for your pedal board too. So just something to consider as far as a way for transportation on your actual pedal board. Alright, well, I hope you found this build to be interesting and helpful. For more how-to guitar information products, I'd love for you to go to topfuelguitar.com. That's www.topfuelguitar.com, and there you're going to find all kinds of helpful information, reviews, products, how-to information, videos. You're just going to find a plethora of stuff that's going to help you as a guitar player, and I just love helping guitar players get to the next level. So I look forward to seeing everybody in topfuelguitar.com, and we'll see you then. Thanks again. It's Robert Lee Moulton. Talk to you then.